Now, before you get started, before I let you run off, you'll be presenting at DW24, is that right?
I will indeed, yes.
Great, and so what we're going to see now is a little bit of a sneak peek preview, so someone can get a feel of what those types of presentations are like. I just wanted to say thank you for doing that.
No worries at all. No worries.
All right, well, go ahead.
Thank you very much. So a little bit about us. We are Stagecoach Group. We are predominantly a bus and tram company working throughout the UK. As you can see there's a lovely little map there that shows all of the regions that we currently operate out over the width and the height of the United Kingdom. About 23,000 employees, predominantly bus drivers, because that's what we are. That's what brings us in our revenue, and without those people, we wouldn't have a business today. Very, very small support staff. We have around about 300 employees in our megabus operation, which is the low-cost bus routes that run between the cities. Our super tram, around about 400 employees out of Sheffield. CityLink is about 400 employees, and then our shared service centre and our Perth headquarters, around about 500 people spread across both of those sites. So as you can see, out of those 23,000, a lot of them are based in depots. They are frontline workers who have no access to any kind of technology whatsoever other than what's on the vehicle that they drive day in, day out, which, as you can appreciate, is just simply a ticket machine. So we had to really find a way of being able to communicate with all of our frontline workers, all the deskless staff that we actually have. So as I'd mentioned, I was asked to go and look at the old legacy intranet that we had, which was called The Loop. And I've got to be honest, I loved The Loop when we first had it. So I was quite an integral part of bringing it into London. That's where I was based out of, the London operating company. And we were actually the first operating company to use the old intranet back in 2013, I think it was now, or maybe even 2015, so I think it was only 2 years old. So about 2015, we had the old intranet, and it just wasn't working around the rest of the UK. People weren't engaging with it. People couldn't remember their passwords. People couldn't remember their usernames, and it was quite clunky and just not very attractive. And the key thing for us, it wasn't mobile friendly. You know, and every piece of feedback that we received about the Loop was, we want it to be mobile friendly. I want an app that I can access my content on my phone because, you know, I don't have a PC. So what we looked at is a number of providers, and we actually picked Blink in the end. And we did a trial with Blink. We trialled it at 2 locations, completely different aspects of the country. So one in Liverpool, a large city centre that has around about 500 members of staff. They absolutely loved the Loop, so had high engagement with it. And we went to complete polar opposites, and we went to Plymouth. And Plymouth had about just over 100 to 150 staff, didn't even know what the Loop was, weren't engaged at all. And we actually did a test there of Blink before we signed up and agreed to use Blink for the rest of the business. And the results were astounding. You know, we were really, really blown away by the results. Plymouth absolutely loved it. Liverpool absolutely loved it. You know, didn't look back on the Loop at all. And it really told us everything that we needed to know. And the way that we achieved that was by looking at what we could actually get as the hooks. And we looked at some key benefits, and we spent some time with Blink just observing what our people do when they come into work. What are they looking for? What are the key things that they fill out on a day-to-day basis? And we picked out a number of areas, and I'm going to showcase them when I actually show you Blink as well. But we picked out the driver's report. So it's the ability for a driver, from the comfort of his or her own home, to make a request to their line manager for holiday swaps, shift swaps, any uniforms, or to report any bus defects. Also to report near misses. So they've had an incident on the road and they've had a near miss. They need to know how to report it. So we built a micro app for that. To actually capture accident information as it happens. So, you know, if sadly they do have accidents when they're on the road, they needed the ability to log information there and then take photographs and things like that. They can do all of that through the Blink app. We then looked at how they can report travel safe issues. So this was predominantly came out of the Liverpool area, and it was the ability to report antisocial behaviours and any kind of antisocial behaviour back to the local authority because they wanted to track that and keep track of the trends. So we created an app for that. And also the ability for our frontline staff to give feedback to our head office and our commercial teams. So we built a network and duty feedback area so that they can, they are our eyes and ears when they're out on the road. They know what the traffic's like. They know where the bus stops are in the right place and the wrong place, and any kind of loading issues. So we built that ability for them to give instant feedback based on the schedules that the commercial team are putting together. The second real key benefit of this project that we managed to do was to move away from paper and reams of paper and notice boards and put it into an app, into an application that was on the driver's phone or on the engineer's phone, but also then created two-way communication. Because as you'll see, Blink also has the ability to chat and to comment and do all sorts of things within the feed and within the chat functions. And it really, really brought about a new kind of culture that people are just asking questions now and commenting on things. And, it's not always positive. Certainly in probably the past 6 months, we've found that Blink, we've had to limit the amount of things that we allow comments on, purely because there's lots of things going on and lots of employees who just any opportunity will moan. Even if it's a lovely post about how someone's done 45 years service, you'll always get the disgruntled employee who will put something about the fact that they didn't get their time off on Friday or something like that. So we've had to look at that and how we deal with that. But again, that's just developing the culture of kind of two-way feedback and two-way communication on this platform. And one of our managing directors from Liverpool actually said he learned more in 2 weeks reading the comments on Blink about his services in and around the city on a Sunday afternoon than he ever could have learned sitting in a canteen for hours on end. And it was a simple piece of information. They didn't have enough running time to get into the city centre because of shopping. They made a quick change to the rotors, and it pleased absolutely everybody in that depot in Gilmoss, just outside Liverpool. Since the launch, we haven't just rested on our laurels. So in the last 6 months, we've launched anonymous near-miss reporting. So we further enhanced the near-miss forms that were previously available so that we can now allow anonymous reporting now. Some employees do wish to report potholes and things like that anonymously, so we can do that. Because of the COVID situation, we already had plans to roll out electronic payslips and P60s and P45s, but because we had to shut our centralised shared service centre, we had to escalate this and really push this through a lot quicker than we'd anticipated. But we now serve electronic payslips, P60s and P45s to all of our workforce. So they get those on a regular basis. When I checked the statistics last week, we'd had nearly 500,000 hits on that micro app alone. So it's been very, very popular, and our employees absolutely love just the ability to have electronic payslips. Because previously, they would just be left in a locker, and when that employee left, they would have hundreds of paper payslips that we'd just have to securely destroy. So that's what we've done since launch.